The following presentation was recorded at the 2025 Southeast Linux Fest in Charlotte, North Carolina. It is licensed under a Creative Commons license. For more information on the Southeast Linux Fest, visit www.southeastlinuxfest.org. Come join us next June.
Welcome to my talk, everybody. I'm going to talk about running an open source hackerspace. My name is Tracy Homer. I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee, and we run Knox Makers, which is Knoxville's community makerspace. It's a nonprofit organization. It runs with the hackerspace model, so we're all volunteer run. Our members pay a monthly fee. Our day-to-day operations are paid for by our monthly fees. So we're very self-sufficient, and we also run all of our stuff on open source software and hardware. Hackerspaces often, when they are small, will start out running open source because they're typically started by a bunch of nerds and who is like, oh, we want to be hacky. And also it's free and cheap. And running hackerspace, you need a lot of money sometimes. So they'll start out with the free open source model. And then as they grow, they might want fancier tools or want to attract businesses or sponsors or something like that. And they will delve into the world of proprietary software and machines. And we decided we didn't want to do that. So we started we are almost up to our 15th birthday. And when we were probably about 7 or 8 years ago, the board of directors got together and we're like, how can we make sure Knox Makers stays Knox Makers? How can we make sure we don't change? If we get too big, we were on the cusp of huge growth. We were at 30 members, and then we moved into a new building that was 10,000 square feet, and we zoomed up to 100, and now we're at 350. So how are we going to keep our core hacker hearts as we grow and not change and fall to our corporate overlords? And when we met together and we're like, how are we going to keep Knox Makers, we came up with some core values that we decided were the essence of Knox Makers. And this is what we distilled it down into. You will see that open source is not on this list. It was talked about a lot. It came up a lot. It almost made it to the list, but we felt that it fit under more than one value. So a lot of people will get into open source software and hardware because of privacy reasons. You don't have the man looking at your data or other corporations, or they will get into it for non-commercialism because they don't want to support big companies and they want to keep everything local. But we really felt that it fit under the value of opportunity. So we want to keep our prices low, and we want to make it affordable for everyone. So this keeping open source software gives our members financial opportunity because they don't have to pay the licensing fees. They don't have to have a fancy computer. They can bring in whatever they've got, if it's Windows, Mac, or Linux, and run whatever software we have, whatever CAD or whatever projects we run in the space, they can run it on their 20-year-old computer. They don't have to come to the space to use the software. If we only have we have an educational SolidWorks model or something, I don't know what kind of stuff they have, that they can't use at home, well, how are they going to do all their designing? Then they would have to come to the space and use the computers at the space and not be able to do all the fun stuff at home. It gives our members the opportunity to learn more about the tools. We have we have a variety of skill levels in a lot of different ways. So not everyone is a tech nerd at Knox Makers. We have people that just want to bang on iron with a hammer. But slowly they will learn the different ways that we have our tools implemented. And for example, when we were building our CNC router, the people that just wanted to saw wood could see that we were building this, and we were building it ourselves. We were putting all open source software into it, and they could have a say into how it was done, and they could see how all the bits and bobs moved themselves and get an experience of seeing their favorite tool from a different way. It also gives Knox Makers opportunity to save a lot of money. This was probably our most expensive tool, and it came in at 20 grand. But if you've ever tried to buy a 4-foot by 8-foot router, it is a lot more than 20 grand. Typically the expense is coming from the software licensing and the fees that you have to pay on an ongoing basis to get the help you want or might not want. And then when the tool goes down, you have to call them up and they have to fix it and blah, 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 blah. So we're having the opportunity to fix our own tools, to build our own tools, to keep them up and running all the time. So it gives us an opportunity to save money in that way as well. We can also customize our tools. So like I said, not everyone's a tech head. So we want to make the interfaces as easy as possible. And I'll show you some features that we've added to some different things. If you have a UI that doesn't work for everybody or that's confusing or complicated, we can add buttons, we can add easy features to make it easier for everyone to use and make it for a community space. There is a very large difference between learning something for yourself or teaching one other person than having to teach a room full of people how to use an incredibly dangerous CNC machine. You have to take a lot of different considerations in place, like background and how to make sure that they get it. And if they're at the space at 2 a.m. and don't understand how it works, are they not going to cut their hand off? This is all very important information that we have control over, like the UI and how the tool operates and the safety features. We can control all of that stuff to keep our members safe. So when someone suggests a new tool or a new feature at Knox Makers, the board gets together and talks about it, like, are we going to accept it? And the green and red seem pretty obvious. Like, if it's closed, it's a no. If it runs only on Windows, it's a no. If it's open source and it's maintained well and works, then we're probably going to go for it. We will look at different options. But if it's open, we will let you teach it. We will let you learn it. You can install it on our computers at the space. The question is, when it comes into the yellow, some tools do not have any open options. So then what are we going to do? Because, there's really cool, fun things that people want to do. And if it doesn't have an open source option, then we try and find different ways to use it. We want it to be cross-platform. I have a Linux machine. I want to use all the stuff at the space. If you can only do it on Windows, it's not going to pass the test. If it's going to connect with their cloud all the time and have to use our internet to talk back to their home base, it's probably not going to happen. So it has to be local, self-contained. It has to be accessible by everyone. So like I said, you don't have to download some app, and those are the basics. We want it to be self-contained. We want to be able to use it on Linux. If it has a Windows interface, sometimes there are ways to get around it, and I'll talk about how we've done that with some of the different tools that we have. So how we can get those special proprietary tools to work with our Linux machines in our open software model. So this is a map of our shop and the different areas that we have. Some areas don't have any tech at all, like machining. They have tech. They don't have any like software or hardware stuff you don't even have to ask about open source because they don't have anything. Blacksmithing, I don't even know if they have electricity. They do have electricity. They have a TV running on a Raspberry Pi, so they do have electricity out there, but there's not going to be any software questions when you get into there. We have a person that runs a person or a group of people, we call them czars and czarinas, who run each of the areas. And we give them freedom to choose what is the next tool that's going to upgrade their area. And it really helps our organization grow because it's not just one person or the board of directors that's driving innovation. We have all of the areas that are working on different stuff at all the time. So you might hear me say a lot in my talk and we're working on this, and we're working on that, and this is the next feature. It's because we have 10 different people and 10 different groups of people that are working on upgrading their area all at the same time. And I don't have to make decisions about what bandsaw to buy because I don't know. Yeah. The question is, what do we have in fiber arts? And we have all your basic home sewing stuff, sewing machine, serger, cutting mats, irons. We have a embroidery machine, which I will talk about. We have an industrial sewing machine. We have a long arm quilter. We have a leather sub area with leather tooling. We do have a loom that someone donated to us that no one really uses, but we have one, and lots of yarn and donated fabric. So, but there are a couple software decisions we did have to make for Fiber Arts, so I will talk about those. Oh, and we have a sublimation printer and heat press for making like t-shirts and stuff. It's a really great place you should visit if you're in Knoxville. 3D printing seems to be the obvious choice for both makerspaces and open source makerspaces. So Prusa has like built itself on being open. We have our first printers that we got, we kind of built ourselves and they were open, but recently I think our smaller printers are all Prusas as well, but then we won a grant for this baby, which has 5 heads and is almost constantly running. Sometimes we teach classes in CAD. We have people that are into OpenSCAD and people that are into FreeCAD. We haven't found a reliable teacher that will like convert everyone at once, but we also don't force our members like you can only design this in FreeCAD or you can't print it. Like you can do whatever you want at home, but the classes that we're going to teach are going to be open source. We have a resin printer in 3D printing, this is a proprietary printer. Someone gave it to us. People like resin printing. They really wanted us to have one. So they gave it to us and we're like, okay, well, what are we going to do about that? It has a Windows app that you have to use to upload your design, and it has a special slicer that you have to use to slice your stuff. That is not going to work for us. But Prusa also has a resin printer, which we don't have, but they have their own slicer. And someone wrote a Python script that would change the Prusa sliced G-code into whatever this printer G-code needs. So you slice it in the Prusa slicer, you send it through this Python script, and then it will work and put it into this resin printer. I'm not sure how you get it on there. I think there's a USB. We're also looking at a Prometheus resin printer, which is fully open source hardware and software. The question when it comes to resin printers is more like community and how do you deal with chemicals and smells. So it's not fully up and running yet because we have to make sure that people don't like poison us. Important. But we're working on that. Electronics. We don't really have any software that runs any of the electronics tools, but we do teach KiCad and some design. We have a lot of open firmware tools. We have, oh my goodness, what's it called? The Pine Sill. We sell the Pine Sills and we use them in the store, which is open hardware, soldering iron. We use them in our classes and we teach soldering classes for that. Someone is or was working on a PCB mill that was running on Gerbil. I'm not really sure the state of that right now, but it does work, I think. Does it work? It's gone. Oh no, well, I'll have to upgrade my talk. It's gone, but we did think about making a PCB mill. Fiber Arts, you might not think has software, but it does. We have a Silhouette in Fiber Arts, which is another proprietary vinyl cutter. Turns out that Inkscape has a plugin that you can use with a Silhouette. So you just download Inkscape if anyone's familiar with that. It's a great vector design program, and you can add a plugin that will interface with a Silhouette. I think that some people know how to use the Silhouette app on their non-Linux computers, and people do that, but that is not what we teach them. So we just, if they do that, they don't tell me, I guess, maybe. We also have a CNC embroidery machine, and there is no open source options for CNC embroidery machines, which is unfortunate. However, there is a program called InkStitch. InkStitch is another Inkscape plugin that will convert your vector design into a stitch pattern. So when the Fiber Arts person was interested in getting a embroidery machine, we said, look at InkStitch. Inkstitch will export your file in several different file types compatible with several different embroidery machines. Find one that works with Inkstitch and you're good. So she did some research. She wanted to find one that had support, wanted to find one that worked with Inkstitch, and also ended up finding one that had a local repair shop. So that was the one she picked. The traditional way to use this embroidery machine is to hook it up to your Windows computer and use an app, but we don't tell our members that. We hand them a USB stick in the class and we say, this is how you load your design. I don't think it's connected to the network at all. It shouldn't be. If it is, I'll go unplug it when I get home. But we give everyone a USB stick. We tell them this is how you upload your Inkstitch. And I don't think we have classes in Inkstitch specifically, but we do have classes in Inkscape. And you will hear me say Inkscape a lot because it is my favorite tool and we use it all over the shop for many things. Oh, yeah, I guess it's really difficult to see with this pattern. The one on the right, I don't actually use the embroidery machine, so the Inkstitch that I do is very rudimentary, but you literally can just take a vector and hit preview, and it has made a pattern for me. It is just does the color recognition and everything. I don't know how you would actually that would actually work. I'm sure there's more finagling to do, but if you look closely, you can see very closely, you can see that there's stitches all going through there for tucks. Arts and crafts, we have a larger vinyl cutter, which is a off-brand that we got. It's not any special brand. And it works directly with the plot function in Inkscape. So you can cut out larger stickers with the larger vinyl cutter. I think it's 2 feet wide, so you can cut quite large things out on it, but you don't need to download anything. You can just plug your computer right into the side of it and hit the plot in Inkscape and you're good. Arts and Crafts also has a large format poster printer. Printers don't like Linux in general. And we had a large format poster printer that someone donated to us, and then it quit working. And then we had a grant, and we're like, well, people like using the poster printer, so we're going to buy one. And how do we do that when printers are so close source? So our main feature, we wanted to look to make sure it obviously had Linux drivers, and we wanted to make sure it was already in the CUPS database, so we knew that someone else had used it at one point. And then that was how we decided to purchase this particular printer, which is an HP, I think. The sad bit is that we took it out of the box and set it up and was all excited, and it didn't work. We're like, oh my gosh. So of course, the industrious hackers that we are tried to diagnose it, and the little LED screen is like very anti-fix it yourself. It would not let us do anything. It wouldn't let us diagnose it at all. It just didn't work at all. So finally, I relented and I called the number, and they wouldn't help us because we had never registered the serial number because they didn't know who we were. So we had to do that and call a tech, and had the tech come out, and it was like the saddest day at the Hackerspace when we had to call a repair technician to fix our stuff. And I think there is still a Post-it note on there that says do not update firmware unless absolutely required, because we just want to keep it the way it is, and if it never update it. Personally, you can connect to it through the network. It's connected on the network. But I find it works best if you do just take a USB and plug it into the side of it and print your thing off the USB. But I don't like printers in general. They don't work well for me. So laser cutting is probably our most open zone. In the background of that picture is our CO2 laser. Laser cutter was one of the first tools our makerspace got. It wasn't this one. We had one that we built ourselves using the Lasersaurus model. It was much smaller. I think it was 1 by 2 feet. And eventually we wanted to upgrade, and laser cutting had the budget. And the czar looked into it and found that the most economical way to do this was to buy an off-brand one from China and have it shipped out over. And we did that, and then we ripped the guts out and put our own guts in it so that we could fully control it. I don't have a picture in this slide deck of the control panel, but we custom made a control panel with an e-stop button and like a power button and like safety LEDs that it will not run if you open the door to the laser, because we want to protect people's eyes. It will like shut it off, and you have to like make sure the door light is green before it will even work. The laser shipping, customs 5 years ago, not customs today, all of that stuff cost $6,000, which is a phenomenal price for a laser cutter that is 2 by 3 feet. It's huge. So highly recommend that. All of that is documented on our wiki. If you want to know how we went through that, it might not be accurate anymore, but at least you can like get the idea of what we had to do, how they delivered it to us, and we had to figure out how to get it inside and all of that things. So the CO2 laser runs on Linux CNC. Linux CNC is a very old and well-maintained program that runs CNC machines. It will run mills and lathes and robot arms and basically anything that uses G-code or like mathematical CNC language. As you can see on the right side of the panel, we have some customizations. We have our logo. We have a power meter. We have a thing that says set 00, so you can like home it wherever your tool is at. It is bed up and bed down. So instead of going in there and like changing the Z height, or I'm actually not sure how to do it at all, we have just a button where users can press to move the laser bed up and down without having to dig into the code. It is fairly easy to use for I would say that our laser cutter is one of the first classes that a lot of people take. And even if they're not technically minded, it ends up working. It's very easy to use for a lot of people. We use Inkscape for designing. We have an Inkscape plugin that we have, or an extension, I'm sorry. We have an Inkscape extension that is on our GitHub, so anyone can download it, that has some of the frequently used things. So like Hatchville, or people want to make living hinge boxes, we just have that right there. So you could go out and find all these. We just have a collection of other people's plugin or extensions that, our people like to use. So it's easier for them to find. They don't have to go searching and find one that maybe is not well maintained. The problem with Inkscape was that you could export stuff to G-code, but it was very finicky and you didn't have a lot of control over it. So like it could only do one type of thing at a time. You could export something, but it could only cut it. And then if you wanted to engrave, you had to export a different file. And it was not easy to use. So our laser cutting czar developed a program called CNCFM, which is really just a file manager that is hosted on our GitHub as well. It's just a file manager, and what it does is it takes your design from your Inkscape, your computer, and at its basics, it will put it on the laser cutter computer. That is the basic thing that it does. So it will load it, it will get it ready for you to go. But we've added the features that he added was it will look at the colors that you have in your Inkscape file, the hex codes, and you can control the power of the laser based on color. So if you look at this, it's hard to see the differences, but if you look on the right side of the screen, the top is a lighter blue than the second line, and the third line I think is black. And it will engrave the top line in a lighter way than it will cut the black colored things. So you can add as many colors as you want, and it will all be in one file. It will all run in order, and you can easily like port your Inkscape design over into the laser cutter and run it using Linux CNC. I do not know if this would work on anyone else's laser. Do you think it would? I think it would. He thinks it would. This random stranger in the audience. This also does raster support, which I don't have a picture of because I made this slide deck a long time ago. But it will recognize an image in your Inkscape file and automatically raster it using different DPIs you can set yourself. More recently, we got a fiber laser. So a CO2 laser will do wood, organic materials, plastics. A fiber laser is mainly meant to do metal. It will also do slate and tile and some opaque plastics. But the fiber laser does not run on Linux CNC. It runs on a thing called Meerkat. Excuse me, I'm actually not sure what most fiber lasers run on because Meerkat is not designed to run fiber lasers. It was designed to run 40K lasers, which is why it's called Meerkat with a 40 in it. But they were working on using it for fiber lasers, and our lasers worked heavily with the developers to get it up and running. And I'm almost positive we are the only makerspace to be running a fiber laser using Meerkat. The features that Meerkat has that Linux CNC does not have is that you can change the size and placement of your design within Meerkat instead of going back to Inkscape and re-uploading it every single time you want to make a change. It's also a lot faster. For this reason, I believe the laser cutting czar wants to also convert our CO2 laser onto Meerkat. I think he will get a little pushback because we've been using Linux CNC for so long and people are used to it. But I'm personally starting to come around. Maybe we'll eventually get that switched over. But he claims it's better. A fiber laser does not work exactly quite the same as a CO2 laser. You have to be really specific with the material, the frequency, and the speed to get a material. If you're using a CO2 laser and your focus is off, it will still burn the wood. If you're using a fiber laser and your focus is off, it will do nothing. And then you're like, what is wrong? So you have to set specific settings for different materials. And we have a material store built in. And we encourage our members, like if you try something new, put it in the material store so everyone else can use it as well. We all can know the defaults. And we share that stuff amongst ourselves. I mentioned woodworking. We have a CNC router. It uses FreeCAD for design, which you can use for routers. And then it has a CNC FM setup. So you can use that just to upload your file. It doesn't do anything else with the, if you've ever used a router, you know that you use different size bits and it has different depths and it's like a 3D instead of just 2D. The CNC FM will just upload it onto the woodworking CNC computer and then you can run it. I'm not sure. Oh, and it runs with Linux CNC as well. So this is new. This is newly online. I haven't used it personally yet. I want to when the hype dies down and there's not a super long line for the class. We also are working where we have a plasma CNC, which we're working on getting online, and that will also use CNC FM to transfer the files and then transfer the cutting, because that's pretty easy. It's still just like one operation. It cuts. That's all it does. So that'll be pretty easy to transfer over. Operationally, we use some obvious things. We use Nextcloud for file sharing. We use Wikimedia for our wiki. We use WordPress for our website. A lot of people use those things. We stream out to the internet. We have a show and share every Tuesday night where people talk about their projects, and we stream it out on YouTube and Facebook. We use OBS Project to like camera switch. So it's like focused on the document camera or focused on the speaker's face or whatever. And then we use Big Blue Button for our members. We implemented Big Blue Button about 5 years ago when everybody started using video conferencing. And we still use it to stream out our show and share on Tuesdays. We also use it for board meetings because we found out that people are more willing to participate if they can sit in their pajamas, and that includes board members. So Big Blue Button is an alternative to Zoom. It's really great, and it doesn't like record your face. We use a program called HacksDB for membership management. This was written by our technical director, who is also our laser cutting czar. They are the same person. It basically is a database of members when they joined, their email addresses. We have the opportunity to list assets in here. This is not as maintained as our membership database, but we can list assets, who owns them, what their price was, like anything that we need to remember about the assets if they're online. And then we can connect them. It's possible that we can connect them to people. So if I'm authorized to use the laser cutter, it will say in our membership database that I have authorization to use the laser cutter or whatever. That feature has not really been kept up as much as we hoped. And I admit that I'm just as guilty as everybody else that I'm not putting people in there. This is a picture of our web interface, which I'm told I'm really the only person who ever sees because I'm the person who enters people's names and information in. Most people will use bots or different automations to get information from here. Mattermost is our chat server. It's like Discord, but it's open source. It's open core, which is less than ideal, but we felt we've been using it for 8 years or something. We're about to hit 1 million messages. We felt that it was the best option, and we still use it. It is private for members only. But as I said, we have bots that interface with HacksDB, and specifically, we have a channel that is private to board members where you can look up member information just by typing their name in. So you type H people or whatever and type in the name Tracy, and then my face will come up and the date I joined and my email address and if I'm a member or if I've abandoned or whatever. We also use this channel for monitoring changes in the membership database if somebody new joins, or if our tools go down, or if the Wi-Fi goes down, it will pop up a message in here and tell us that, so we can get on that and fix it. We have another channel for area heads. They can also search the member database, but they can't edit it, and they will only see people who are current members. And then we have another / command in there where teachers can look up people in their class. So we don't have to give them access to the website where they can find out who's going to be in a class there coming up. They can just type the event number and it will list who's going to be in their class so they know who to expect. And we don't have to worry about them having to log in and restrict their permissions. Or if it's a guest teacher, we could just easily get that information for them. And I use it because I'm too lazy to log into the website. For the back-end stuff that I don't understand, but I was told all these things, we use OpenSense for the firewall. We use Proxmox for our server. We use Zabbix right now for monitoring systems, but I'm told that the technical director is trying to learn Nagios because other people in the shop know it, and then we have redundancy, and if something happens, then someone else can deal with it. We also have on the one side of the picture, we have laptops available for our members to use that run Debian and have all the software in the shop loaded on it already, including also LibreOffice and the internet. So if you're working on whatever you're working on, you can you don't have to bring your own computer, or if you don't have a computer at all, you can just use the ones at the shop. We use ZoneMinder for camera systems. Since we are open 24/7 and people could potentially be there by themselves and there could be bad things that happen, or maybe someone hurts themselves or a tool breaks in a spectacular fashion, we can look up on ZoneMinder what happened. They are motion sensor, so they're not constantly recording. We also, in order to respect our members' privacy, absolutely do not put this out onto the internet. It's all locally hosted on our own servers. And then we have a rigorous policy that does not allow the board members to look at the data without a vote and telling the members why we looked at them. We're not going to go check to see if your girlfriend was at the shop last night. Also, it's a pain. Maybe that's a feature. It's a pain to look at the data, so we don't really want to. Some more recent things we added, we've just added single sign-on for a lot of our stuff, and that was mostly to make it easier for our community members, and it's easier for us to switch on and off people's access to it. This is my sign in, so I got a lot of stuff because I'm a board member. But I think, if you're a member, you can get access to Mattermost and the website and maybe the events calendar and stuff like that. But it's easy to have one switch to turn on and off. And it's also easy because you only have one password to remember. We've also tried to upgrade our organization game, and we have started looking at like more. I don't even know the word, like getting our name out there. We have newsletter software. We use Keela. We use Mixpost for social media. We use Open Project for our one project that we have on there. We are starting a fundraiser soon. So we decided we needed project management. And we decided on Open Project, but it's a necessary evil. There's some things that we do poorly, though. I'm not going to say that we're amazing and perfect. We don't do everything open source. And most of these are because they started a long time ago and we have just not found an alternative or not moved off of them. For one is GitHub. I don't know if you know that GitHub is owned by Microsoft, that they're not the greatest. And we'll take your code and use it, even if it's free and open source, and we'll put it under a proprietary license. I brought this up and was dismissed. That's okay. I'm not the only person on the board. People can outvote me. It's convenient, and I get it. And we have our stuff hosted on GitHub. We also use Gmail. We started using that in the very beginning. It makes me sad, but we do. We've got now 15 years of emails on there. We used to use more of the Google services. We used to have our dues collections on a spreadsheet on Google. We used to have Google Forms on our website. We moved away from all of those things except for Gmail. We have a lot of aliases. We have a lot of bots that run that need to be ported over. It will be a very large project to move over, but it's on the list. That's a good question. I don't know. The question was, what would you move to? I don't know. I feel as the technical director would probably bring an option, whatever he thought was best. And we would vote yes because we trust him.
Running your own email server, no fun.
Right. Running your own email server is no fun. I don't think we want to do that, but email is important. The one that makes me the most sad is that we use QuickBooks for our finances. I hate QuickBooks. As far as I know, there is no open source accounting software that is accessible to a normal human being. Canoe Cash, that, I don't know, do they do business? At my work, we use Bean Count. That is command line, so not for everybody. Odoo is one I have heard of, but they are open core, and specifically the accounting is under their license. If anyone knows of any, please tell me, because I would love to move off of QuickBooks. But again, we have years and years of data on here. We have 350 members plus all of our old members and all of our bills on here. It would be a multi-month process, and we would probably have to buy the treasurer many, many meals to convert her into something that wasn't QuickBooks. This decision to use QuickBooks was before me, and I think it honestly came down to what did the treasurer want, because they were going to be the one that had to use it, so they relented there. Sometimes it's worth paying for some stuff, yes. I don't know if QuickBooks is worth it, though. Our security in our building, we don't use tech. We use physical keys still, and then we teach a lock sport class, so we rent, so we can't physically alter the building. As far as we know, there are other spaces use like a key in, like you text a code on or you have a smartphone app. Not all of our members have smartphones or want to use smartphones. We have looked into some. We've tried to make our own. It's gone both ways. We haven't really ever decided on anything, and a physical key seems to work. I think that if If we were to move buildings that had like electronic locks, we would have to deal with how do we protect our members' privacy when they're in the shop and when they're not. When do we decide to look at that data? How do we let people in that aren't members? You know, if you're on your probationary period, you can't be in there by yourself, like that kind of stuff. There's a lot of questions to answer, and the physical key thing works for now. But if we purchase a building, I think we will possibly, hopefully move into electronic lock system because it's a lot easier. That is about the end of my presentation. We have a lot of things going on. Oh, I didn't mention our big sign. I keep forgetting I didn't put a slide on it. The big electronic sign called Farnsworth runs on a BeagleBone Black. The code is all written in Python. And if you come to our shop, it is not protected, so you can SSH right into it and put your own message on our screen if you want to. So please come to Knox Makers. I would like to open it up for questions if anyone has any. Nobody? Yes.
Comment is, don't get HP printers, more recent than about 2007.
I agree with that. The comment is don't buy HP printers more recent than 2007. Printers are horrible. Does anyone else have any questions? Yeah.
You mentioned with 3D printing the Prusa machines. I was curious how much those like generally cost, or like because if they're open hardware, like, you know, I'm just curious how much those would run you up.
That is a wide range. You can buy them not put together and pay less, or you can buy them fully functional and predictably plug and play, and they will cost more. Do you know what the 5-head costs? It costs several $1,000s. The big one costs several $1,000s. I think the smaller ones are less than 1,000, but they're still a couple hundred. But yeah, you can save money if you build it yourself.
Hey, so a lot of the trade-offs that you talked about with like the proprietary and free software made a ton of sense, but the GitHub one really confused me. Git forges and Git repos are some of the easiest things to find self-hosted and open source. So I was just curious why you chose GitHub, and if you're like really tied into their actions and workflows and stuff like
We
that.
are not tied into really anything. The GitHub has just been around the longest. We had it since the beginning, and it's not a priority for anyone at the moment.
I had the same thought.
I guess a follow-up to that is, how many people do you have volunteering to manage IT? Because you're running your own GitLab or a bunch of other things is
Not many.
it takes time.
It does take time. The GitHub is really, it's like, we don't really do much besides store stuff there. It doesn't do anything, it doesn't push out anything. We don't have a lot of people running the IT. Two, three,
It's 4 or 5.
4 or 5 people. We have one person on the board who's in charge of it. Isaac, my pink-haired friend here, knows some stuff. And we've tried to, get more people into it, but no one wants to do the boring stuff. They want to make cool things on the laser. Oh, yes. Also the website and some of the other stuff. I guess I was more thinking direct server management.
How many full-time employees do you have? Or
0.
Zero. So
We're
everybody's
fully-
volunteers, huh?
Yes, we're fully volunteered. We feel that is really important because a lot of nonprofits have like fancy people on their board that are just there to raise money, but they don't care about the actual mission. Well, they might care about the mission, but they're not like in there breaking their own stuff and pulling their hair out like everybody else. Like, we want all of our board members and all of our volunteers to be people who make stuff and fail at stuff and get dirty and like are willing. Everybody at our shop is a volunteer, so everybody sweeps the floors. Some people just have the passwords to things and have a little bit, but we try and distribute it, but no full-time employees. That's really important to us.
Is the target to actually buy your own real estate eventually?
Yes, currently, not eventually. We are currently working on that. If you want to follow us. You can scan our QR code, go to knoxmakers.org. Otherwise, come visit us in Knoxville. We meet publicly every Tuesday night, get together and celebrate making. If you can't make it on a Tuesday, email me and I will gladly give you a tour. And every third Tuesday of the month, we have a cookout for free. Bring something if you want, but you don't have to. We're very big into community. We're not just a shop of tools. Like, we make together and have fun together and volunteer together, and it's a good time.
What's it cost?
$50 a month. And we have reduced rates if you can't make $50 a month. We really, really want everyone to be able to make stuff. It's a fundamental part of being a human.
Is that student prices or?
Fixed income. We have fixed income prices, which include students. We have family rates. So like, if I have a friend or partner or enemy or neighbor, then I can pay $75 for 2 people. And then we have hardship rates temporarily if you're going through a rough patch. And we have a sponsorship program and a scholarship program for a local college. So.
Variable.
No, TCAT. Pellissippi. Thank you all. I think that's the last slot of the day. So have a great night, y'all. Thanks for coming.